PR Connections Radio presents Voting is more than just a right, it's a powerful tool for change. Every vote counts and every voice matters. Voting protects your rights and helps to build a better future. And it's a way to hold our leaders accountable. Voting isn't just about the big elections either. Local elections impact our daily lives. It is important to study the candidates and the issues in order to make an informed decision. Election 2024. Don't sit it out. Your vote is your power.
Hi there, and welcome to another edition of Business of Giving Video Edition. I am your host for this episode, Dana Wall Oakley. Our guest today is an exciting individual, Dr. Brian. He's a charismatic international speaker, coach, and PhD. His high energy and interactive presentations help CEOs, supervisors, and participants change their mindsets to optimize consistent performance. Dr. Brian has worked in the mental health field and as a business coach for over 4 decades. He discovered that we are not our emotions. And when you learn emotional mastery, you can optimize your personal and professional performance. His speaking, coaching, and training will help participants break out of emotional traps and optimize their leadership, business, and personal relationships through mental fitness. Please help me welcome, with our guest today, Dr. Brian Grossman. Hi there, Dr. Brian. That's an exciting introduction. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you very much, Dana. I really appreciate that introduction, and I'm thrilled to be here with you. Absolutely. So my background, why I'm even here, growing up, when I was 10, I got diagnosed with what turned out to be what's called myasthenia gravis, which is a muscle weakness. And at the time, back in the 70s, they thought it was going to be multiple sclerosis. So everybody was scared. And then it was myasthenia gravis and not so scared. And so what I learned is, muscle weakness. So I got tired before every other kid playing sports, droopy eyelids. And in our family, my dad was a business owner, pleating and embroidery factory. If we had the inkling we weren't going to take over that business, it was you were getting straight A's in school because it's education, 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 right? So what I learned, start asking lots and lots and lots of questions. And when I was 16, about 3 months before my birthday in July, a neurosurgeon came to USC, was talking about all the new research. And now you have to remember, nobody knew what the internet was. We were very excited about fax machines. I used to walk my dinosaur in the park. And what happened was I said, well, why can't, so what happens with myasthenia gravis and some neuromuscular disorders, your nerve endings don't excrete certain chemicals to the muscles. So I said, well, why can't you just implant computer chips in us and have them tell the muscles to excrete? And he said, we absolutely can do that, but you would be carrying around 2 refrigerators with you. And so it's really not workable at this point.
No, I would say not.
I said, okay. So when this woman heard me talking, asking all these questions, she said, oh, you need to do a talk and help us raise money for myasthenia gravis. You're perfect. And da, 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 da. And I said, well, what do you mean a talk? She goes, oh, you're going to come to the Beverly Hills Women's Luncheon and talk in front of 1,200 people, and you're going to make them cry and they will write checks. And I said, you're going to have to teach me how to do that, but you want to put me in front of 1,200 people, because I always loved interacting. And that's where I got the speaking bug. And I made sure that friends my age could come with their families for free so I could explain why am I different. And that's what's formed my whole mental health approach is, how do you fit in? How do you tune into your talents? How do you tune into your strengths and thrive? And
That's
so that has formed my whole opinion. And I would say off and on through my career, when I can, I've always donated to MDA. And of course, now I'm at this point in my career. Right after this podcast, I will send them another email and say, well, I am not a famous actor or sports star. I did have the disorder, and I would like to be a local or national spokesperson. So I keep sending that email every month.
okay. Okay.
So
Wonderful.
I have worked with, and I think the whole key today is what's the point of doing this podcast? Why are we talking to each other? Is
Yes.
businesses can easily partner with charities or non-profits
Hmm.
and help each other grow.
Yes.
And it could be one of 100 charities on a t-shirt. It could be one charity on a t-shirt. When people walk into the dry cleaners, when people walk into a doctor's office and I see my doctor sponsoring the Little League baseball team or this other nonprofit or whatever it is, my grandkids are playing soccer and baseball. They're 10 and 8. We go to the barbecue place who help buy mitts. We go to the this or that help give them cleats. And it's a simple thing, but when it's $500 to join the league and they
Yes.
grow out of their cleats before the season's over, it's a big deal.
They need new
And
shoes,
so
they need equipment. Yes.
partnering with organizations that give brings benefit to you, brings benefit to them, brings benefit to the community
Hmm.
in countless ways, hundreds of ways. So I went on a rant, I apologize. But
No.
that's what got me the speaking bug. And that's what got me into, psychology. And now that I coach business people, how do you optimize performance? It's not where you're at, it's where do you want to go?
Hmm.
And then how do we shift your mindset that you can accomplish it? And that's
That
what
you
I
can get.
specialize in.
Wonderful. So yes, that absolutely led into your business. You're talking about your business. You're a speaker, a coach. What is your PhD in?
Clinical psychology. So I started out, so this is really funny to me, at least. I hope you all laugh. So my graduate program was unique. It's now called Alliant University. Back when I went in the 80s, it was California School of Professional Psychology. Instead of doing an internship our fourth year, we did an internship every year. And
Oh,
so I did community mental health and substance abuse. And then the next year, I worked at UC Irvine Medical Center for a little while. And then got pushed into, because the county closed, a department working with children. And I didn't want to do that. And then my third year, the day we started for adult substance abuse, the county closed the department or that agency. And my supervisor said, well, you can go to school for 5 years, do your fifth year internship, or walk across the street. And I worked with a doctor who created his own psychology assessment, Glenn Roberts. And I couldn't
okay.
believe how much fun it was, even in stressful community mental health where kids are highly at risk. But working with children and adolescents was fabulous. So my
Wonderful.
specialty was kids, adolescents, substance abuse.
Okay.
And then what beyond working with MDA, what formed my whole brain to kind of be a catalyst for my career. I
Hmm.
got to work with a specialty practice in Rockville, Maryland for my postdoc internship, um, working with underachieving adolescents. What is that? Kids who test well,
Hmm.
but are bringing home D's and F's. Now, when you bring home D's and F's and your dad is working for the president and your mom's at the FAA, it's a crisis.
Yes.
So, what
Reason.
I learned is this. So, when you read my intro, we are not our emotions. You're not
Right.
angry. You are not depressed. You are you. You have
Okay.
unique strengths. It's self esteem and self confidence. So I'd love people for a moment to put in the comments, what do they think self-esteem is versus
Mhm.
self-confidence? So we'll give them 30 seconds from that. But there, even though my dad was from Brooklyn,
Mhm.
that's where I learned how to deal with very high-powered people and meet
Okay.
them at their level, which is when you're doing consulting, really important to be able to do, but even in psychology. And I'll tell you a
Yes.
fun one is this one dad was just going on and on about stuff. And he says, he's going on and on about his situation. And I said, wait a minute, let me stop you. I said, I'm seeing you once a month. I'm seeing your kid every week. You're in your situation because you're in your situation. It's unethical for me to see you. You can talk to the owner, my supervisor, and arrange for something. I said, but I got to be clear with you on this.
Yes.
You're trying to make me feel bad about your situation. You're fighting three things. He says,
Yeah.
what's that? I said, I have 5,000 years of Jewish guilt DNA coursing through my veins, plus my mom. You can't make me feel bad about anything. Number three is my dad was from Brooklyn. So you can be the most powerful man in the world.
Mhm.
You're not going to intimidate me. I'm here for one reason: help you and your kid have a better relationship.
Yes.
That's what this comes down to, right?
Ooh,
And so
out.
from that experience, it's like, is every issue emotional? No. But if
No.
we start with, do you even, oh, so now some people are putting in some great comments. Self-esteem is, do you like or love yourself? And
Okay.
self-confidence is, do I have the belief I can do this? So I could have emailed you right before this, Dana.
Mhm.
I'm nervous, doctor's appointment, not back in time, can't do it because I was nervous.
Ah,
You'd probably never have me on again.
probably
Now I'm
not.
the opposite personality. I want to be on every
Right.
week. So,
Yeah,
but
I couldn't see that from
when
you
we let,
particularly,
yeah,
but
don't, we got to stop letting our emotions override decisions. Make
yes.
decisions from clarity, innovation, empathy, curiosity,
Yes.
not fear, tension, and anger.
I love that. Mine stems from curiosity. I gained my self confidence being a Toastmaster. I joined Toastmasters,
Oh,
and oh
wow.
my goodness, yes, 19 years come no 20 years come January, and that is where I got
Wow.
self confidence. Yes,
Well, we'll have
and
to talk
learning
about that offline when later. That's fabulous.
that would be wonderful. Yes. I just wanted to toss that in there for a second because you mentioned self confidence, and so many people don't know the difference between self confidence versus self esteem. And you actually can have one without the other.
Yeah.
I'm going
And
to,
I've asked clients to go to Toastmasters. They say, I don't want to be a speaker. I said, you don't need to be a speaker. You need to
it's,
stand up in front of your team. You need to
yes,
stand up to your boss. And so, anyway,
it's gaining that sense of self, really. And I think that's a lot of what you're talking about here. And you coach businesses, you said. So individuals that are
teams.
in a business or
So,
teams,
business
essentially.
owners,
Okay.
if you're a business owner or CEO, I'm looking at teams of 100 to 1,000. I do work with solopreneurs, absolutely. But
Wow.
if you feel like this,
Here,
my
I'm going to put this across here.
training and coaching comes in 6 weeks. I can get you over the hump. So if you feel like people aren't following your lead, you're giving the same instructions over and over, you feel the same tension at work or at home,
Okay.
you have an argument or a discussion and you think it's resolved and it pops up again.
Mhm.
One, you didn't resolve it. And two, it's an emotional issue where we are sabotaging ourselves. So for instance,
Yes.
we have 10 saboteurs that we know proven from Stanford University. So it could be like this.
Wow.
Sorry, Dana, I got to hop off. My laptop is just a little bit off. So we have to stop. I'm going to move. In fact, Dana, would you move your chair 3/4 of an inch that's the controller. And the
Okay.
stickler is it has to be perfect, but it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be perfect your way.
Yes.
Pleaser, you give up your issues, you please others, you don't tell people what you want, not that it's transactional. but you get angry when people don't ask you because you're helping all the time. What do you want? Well, if you simply state your needs, then it becomes easier. And so at the end of this, you see a scroll. I'll send everybody a special report. And then if you want, I'll send you a link. You can take a free saboteur assessment, and then we'll schedule a free call to discuss those results with you. But what I do is help business owners and teams resolve those saboteurs and start making better decisions. And 4 things start to happen. Get better communication, better relationships, less stress, better performance or decision making, and guess what happens to profits?
Success for the business.
And what's it? I've worked at several nonprofits. You're the quote owners or CEO. They're running around like chickens with their head cut off because they got to do this, they got to do this, got to do this, got to do. It's like, well, let's sit down and make a plan. Let's delegate, and let's all work together. Yes, it is a rush. It is important. We need grants. We need, but let's make a plan so we're not moving from crisis to crisis to crisis. That's not a way to run any nonprofit or any organization. And that's what I love about this is how do we partner together? How do we reach out to our existing resources in the community? Not every nonprofit is for everybody, but I think in Henderson and Vegas, there's a business and a nonprofit for everybody.
Right. And find one that aligns with your company's values, your mission. The one that you're aligning yourself with is MDA, probably mostly because you're in that community yourself. Right. So how would you tell people that they can find the right nonprofit to align themselves with? When you aligned yourself with MDA, how did you decide that? Just being in the community, or were there other factors?
Well, I fell into it. I mean, I had and just to be clear, I got a gift from God when I was 18. It left my system. Oh. But I will tell you this. I mean, greatest neurologist I ever saw. Yes. Best name in the world, King Ingle. Dr. King Ingle. I'll never forget his name, but you all know this. You go see a specialist or a new doctor, you can carry over suitcases of your medical records. You could send all the digital files 6 months before your appointment. Wow. They're going to read it when you walk in. Well, an intern walked in and he said, it looks like this was psychological. Now, one of the tests that they do to see if your nerve endings are excreting the acetylcholine that your muscles need is not an EKG, but they put electrodes on your arm and shoot electrodes through it. Oh. And if you haven't tried that at a doctor's office, let me tell you, make an appointment and have some fun. I dreaded that appointment. But when that intern said, we think it's in your head, my dad's Brooklyn came out. Oh, okay. And I started screaming. My mom and King Ingle came in 2 minutes, calm down, da 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 da. Had the intern walk out. What he meant to say was, we don't think you had myasthenia gravis. We think it's something we don't know what it is because it has never left anybody in our studies. Okay. It's gotten better, but it hasn't left. And what you had is gone. So I was like, okay, da da da. So for me, always being associated with that group was just a kinship. But to answer your question directly, you hit it on the head. What are your values? What are your mission? What's your mission? What's your vision for your business? Let's say you're an employee and you want to ask your boss to partner with something. What gets you excited about nonprofits in the community? And I'm going to defer to you for a minute, Dana, on your expertise. So I think I was one of them. When I got asked to do training and consulting with nonprofits, I thought, what is a nonprofit? I don't get it. How are you keeping the electricity on? Well, it's that you're not a for-profit corporation. You get paid, you bring in money, It's just how do you redistribute it and what's the cause? So I'll
Yes.
let you talk about that in more detail, but it's what do you like? And if you think to yourself, what's something I want to contribute to or improve on? So um, let me stop and have you answer for people, what's a nonprofit? And then I've got a really cool, fun story.
Oh, yes. That's an excellent question. And nonprofits, there are a lot of them out there in the community, and they work for a cause, and there's thousands. The cause of we've partnered with Nevada Women in Trades, which is the women that are at risk, and we're getting them training and learning how to do some kind of trade and get out there back into the business. The Heaven Can Wait is for animals, again, at-risk animals. We get them homes. When I say we, I mean that nonprofit. They're part of we have the Cause Marketing Chamber of Commerce, and this cause is this business networks other businesses to find cause nonprofits. What cause aligns with you? We're having a big event coming up here in a couple of weeks where we'll have tables with businesses and nonprofits. We actually honor a different nonprofit every year. The one we did last year was a nonprofit that redesigns bedrooms for children that were abused, or in whatever you want to take that as, completely redesign their bedrooms so that trauma can leave their minds where they're not in the same bedroom all the time.
Right.
That was a really valuable nonprofit. There was another nonprofit that had a table. I talked to this woman who is teaching children that don't know how to read, the ones that slip past the system and get through the No Child Left Behind law, and they get through high school and don't know how to read. That's one that really touches my heart because I'm an avid reader. I'm constantly reading all kinds of things, and I just don't believe that anybody shouldn't know how to read. So when you think about a nonprofit, it's these companies that are doing good for the community. And there are, like I said, tons. There are tons.
Yeah. And I'd like everybody to think for a minute. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
Tire shops. Your mechanic at your car dealer or your local mechanic, how long do you have to take to get an appointment? And what I mean by that is this. I've worked at four maximum security prisons in my career.
Oh, okay.
And the first one I went to in Miami, key staff didn't show up one morning my first week. So I'm having to check in these guys, and they say, "Hey doc, you're new, we need a pass to go to medical." So I check with the officer. He says, "Just give him a pass to fill out and you sign it and we'll escort him to medical." It's like, okay. And I gave them the forms and they're staring at me. And I said, "I'm sorry, must have been unclear. Go sit over there, fill out your forms. When I'm done checking everybody in, Sergeant so-and-so will walk you over." And they stood there, and I looked up and I said, "Lean forward." I said, "I'm going to whisper this. You guys can't read and write." And they said, "Well, partially." And I said, "Go sit over there. And I need you to think about this. As soon as I'm done checking everybody in, I'm going to help you fill out the form. But I don't care if your exit date is tomorrow. Yes. I'm walking over with my boss to the warden, and you are not leaving this institution until you can read." And they said, "Why?" And I said, "I want you all to sign this piece of paper." And I wrote, "I am of sound mind and body, of clear mental health. I absolutely 100% advocate and insist that Dr. Brian Grossman get all of my incoming funds throughout my sentence and 2 years post-incarceration." And I had him sign it. And I said, "Now go ask Sergeant so-and-so what you signed, walk outside and scream, and then come back and see me." And I am adamant. You've got to be able to read. I mean, You've got to be able to read. But my point is, in tire shops, to bring it back around, mechanic shops, huge shortage of employees. And I
Okay.
talked to my local mechanic and I said, I want you to call this county agency. Now, if you know a nonprofit that does this, I want to go work with them or help them out. I said, you need to hire nonviolent offenders. They are hungry for work. They're not getting work because they made a mistake.
Yeah.
I said, but if you can get them to work and get them home, they will show up until they can get their own transportation. And after that, they will show up because they'll be grateful.
Because they,
I said, now you are going to have to put up with temper tantrums. You're going to have to show them how to put the lug nuts on 8 times. But once they get it,
once they
they get it. Now, of course, you're going to have the opposite spectrum. You're going to show a guy half of one time, and he'll have your shop on autopilot in 10 minutes. So
have that
just
also.
be ready. But remember, an inmate for self-defense, if you play a joke and walk up behind him and tap him on the shoulder, they're turning around with a swing.
Right.
Because that's what they had to deal with for 4 years. But beyond that, now, of course, they've had classes and they've been to how to get back in the community. But unfortunately, those are 6 hours, 12 hours. And after 4 years, I think you need a little more help. But that's my opinion. So
yes, exactly.
That I want you all to think about. There is a nonprofit or a county agency that you can partner with to help for workplace shortages. To help with painting, I don't know if they even have them anymore, jungle gym at the park.
Right. Another one of the nonprofits builds beds for children because they go in there, they don't have them because of low funds, poor low-income families. The nonprofits really help the community, and they do need your support.
Yep.
Do you have any other nonprofits that you support?
I'm trying to think of anything that people will know. Just a lot of local stuff I've been in Palm Springs and 29 Palms for 20 years. So just a lot of different ones, but I'm big on MDA. I'm big on anything that helps retrain workers. Anything that helps kids with reading and gang intervention, anything that helps with substance abuse. I mean, I worked with substance abusers for years, and they always ask me, well, how do you help? And what was your drug? And I haven't mentioned this. I said, but I'm a one-time winner, one-time loser with weight loss. So I had the easy procedure. Those of you that remember Keith Oberman and Dan Patrick, they used to joke, so-and-so is having a surgery that's minor. And Keith Oberman would always say, all surgery is minor till it's done on you. So I had lap band, tighten your stomach, lost the weight, bad habits at a maximum security prison, gained it back. And I don't do anything halfway, plus more. Had gastric sleeve surgery, and I've kept 180 pounds off for 7 years. And that's where I learned it's all up here. Because when your stomach is this size, smaller than your palm, and you're eating when you're not hungry, it's emotional. And so I support a lot of charities that help people who are really obese get help. Any nonprofit that helps with just educating people on food, and that is my next movement, but that's a whole other podcast. But
I was just going to say, we need to have you on our network with a podcast about that, Dr. Brian.
I'd be honored, thrilled, and more than excited than I am now about doing this. I'll tell you that. I'm on a mission.
We'll talk.
So, but
that sounds awesome. So we're almost out of time. Any final words?
Be brave, be true. No. Simply put, what do I do? Taxes, the economy, arguments at home, disagreements at work, traffic, hot weather, you name it. You can't fight the world. What you can do is when you shift your mindset, when you shift your thinking, and in 6 weeks, 4 times a day for 2 minutes, I will help you make a shift to rewire your attitude and brain set, proven by Stanford University. You will approach problems with a positive mindset. And when you do that, innovation, creativity, curiosity, empathy, profits, happiness, performance come. And it's doable, and you can do it. That's my last word, and I will listen to you.
So if you want to visit Dr. Brian at businessofgiving.now.site/home, it's been scrolling across the bottom there. You should have written it down by now. You can do that. You can get a report, talk to Dr. Brian. Is there a number or email they can reach out to you if they want to?
Sure,
Brian?
if you want. Email is info, I-N-F-O, at drbrianspeaks, drbrianspeaks, no dot, drbrianspeaks.com.
Okay.
That's the only dot. And it's businessofgiving.now.site. You don't have to worry about the home.
Oh, okay.
Give me your email. You'll get a free report. You can schedule an appointment with me. No expectations, no cost. Let's just talk about, am I the guy to help you or not?
Well, we really appreciate you being a guest today. And I want to talk to you about having a show on the network, because that sounds awesome.
And I want to know about your big event coming up. So we will talk.
Yes,
and I can't, one, thank you for the invite. Thank you for the time. Thanks for all the hard work you and your organization do, because it is a tremendous service.
Thank you. Well, we really appreciate you being a guest today. Stick around, and let me get over here. We will. Business of Giving is every Saturday at 3 p.m. Tune in, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.